Hello everyone, I am Carl, a student nurse from SUPENMA, and I'm here to perform the assessing of Neurologic and Musculoskeletal system. So first is we're gonna identify the patient. I miss, I know your name and your birthday.
I am Neurologic
And then we're gonna explain the procedure and answer any question. So, Miss, I'm gonna assess your neurologic and musculoskeletal system to determine any abnormalities. And do you have any questions before we start? Okay. Next is we have to perform hand hygiene. And help the patient undress and provide patient gowns. Then we're gonna begin with a survey of the overall patient's hygiene and physical appearance. Then, in assessing the neurovascular system, we're gonna first is we have to assess the patient's mental status by evaluating the patient's orientation to person, time, and place. So, kung sa'yo mo pa sila? Asa ka karoon? Baka sa
Watch.
Okay. Then, we're gonna evaluate the level of consciousness. Then, we're gonna access memory by immediate recall and fast memory. So, above, can you recall your kasi mong subukan ko? Then, we're gonna assess the abstract reasoning by asking the patient to explain the proverb, the really bird catches the worm. So, can you try to explain in your own words something sa proverb, the really bird catches the worm?
The early bird catches the worm. Mas better than is the earlier
Next, we're gonna evaluate the patient's ability to understand spoken or written words by letting them follow my command. Can you please raise your right hand?
And then after that is we're gonna doing the neck.
Now, in testing the cranial nerve function, we're gonna ask the patient to close their eyes and occlude one nostril and have them smell a substance and ask them to identify the substance.
And then after that is we're gonna
And then the other nostril.
identify the familiar mouth.
Now we're gonna place my hand on the patient's shoulder while she shrugs for resistance. And then we're gonna place our hand on the patient's left cheek. And then while she pulls against it.
Trace a number on his mouth and try to ask that he gives it.
Now we're gonna assess the patient's ability to move her neck by asking her to touch his chin to his chest. And then chin to both shoulders.
And then
And
after
chin to
that,
both ears.
I'm gonna zoom now to deep tendon reflex.
Now, we're gonna ask the patient to close her eyes and put a familiar object in his palm and let her identify what object it is. Now we're gonna draw a one-digit number in her palm and let her identify what number it is. Okay, next we're gonna assess the patient's deep tendon reflex by placing my thumb finger in the patient's above the patient's wrist and use a reflex hammer. Okay, now in the antecubital area, kasing-kasing. triceps. Then in the next arm, the other arm. The triceps.
Oh,
Now move the patella. And then the Achilles tendon area. Yeah, wait. Ito naman. Now we're gonna stroke the patient's sole of her feet. Ako na kami isa. Okay. Now we're gonna ask the patient to dorsiflex and plantar flex. Pwede ko. Okay. Opposite. And then we're gonna assist the patient to a standing position while then observe the gait while she walks. And now we're gonna perform a Romberg's test by patient to close her eyes with the arms at the side and wait for 20 seconds while observing the swaying of the patient while maintaining balance.
Now we're gonna do the musculoskeletal. Then first is we're gonna ask the patient to hands to the heart and do the
And now we're gonna assess the musculoskeletal system by asking our patient to extend her arms. And then rapidly turns her palms up and down. Okay, now we're gonna ask the patient to flex her arm while and then I'll put resistance. Then okay. After that, we're gonna inspect and palpate the patient's hands, wrists, elbow joints, and fingers. Next arm.
After that, we're gonna press the leg muscle.
Then we're gonna let the patient squeeze by two hands.
And then after that, we're gonna do
Okay.
the
Then we're gonna assist the patient in a standing position and do a straight leg test. Then we're gonna assess for hip abduction and adduction.
we're gonna do the thigh resistance.
Because
Sit down. Hip force
down. Then we're gonna ask the patient to raise her thighs
After that is after the
while
procedure,
I'm
we're gonna
putting
ask the
resistance.
patient to comfortable position. And then I'm gonna do 1 2 3. And then I'm gonna
Okay. And then for the after procedure, we're gonna help the patient in a comfortable position and perform hand hygiene and document the findings of the assessment.